Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and Jed Horton. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here, because the ThunderCast is on the loose. Welcome back to another episode of the ThunderCast. With you, as always, Russ Livingood, and my host that is with me today, Jed Horton. Jed, welcome back, man.
Hey, yeah, glad to be back. I've been really enjoying the position group breakdowns that you and Russ have been doing. Also, the one episode that he did with his former podcast mate over at
Stephen Moffat.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat there at the where they used to have the Moonshine Throwdown. So I've been just eating up content. Haven't been really producing it much. Been able to consume it. So no, it's good to be back.
KD and I have done several of those position group breakdowns, and we had to do them in a certain way where we recorded a couple of them, and then they're getting uploaded on Friday mornings. Heck, it might be maybe Thursday night or Friday morning while you're watching this as we record Thursday evening. And then, all of a sudden, 8 a.m., there's going to be a position group breakdown. Special teams, I think, is what's coming out tomorrow morning. So, it's been real fun. Hey, we got a lot that happened this week in announcements. We don't have anything going on for Around the Herd, but we do always have things to talk about, and we're going to get to that. But first, I want to get a word from the guys that have been with us since day zero, and that's Leasure Oliver PLLC, otherwise known as 304carwreck.com. If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com. All right, Jed, what do we always say? We say, there's a short week, or it's been 6 days, it's over the summer, whatever it is, couldn't possibly have things to talk about, right? How could we have 5 things?
Well, there's no way.
We've got them, and this week we've got 7 things. So let's get to that, and we're going to have that courtesy of ignite.link, who you're pretty daggone familiar with looking at that shirt.
Yeah.
And now, here are at least 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by ignite.link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. All right, Jed, number 1, we're going to start off with a cool event that was just announced, and it's Herd Trivia coming to a location near you. There will be 4 upcoming dates where you can show off your knowledge of all things martial athletics and get into a trivia contest. First one, July 14th at Creekside Restaurant in La Valette at the golf course. On July 21st at Fireside Grill in Hurricane. 7/28 at the Shriners Building in Parkersburg, and finally August 4th at 5th Street Brewing in Charleston. All these events are from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., so you can head over there after work once you're in the area. Prizes will be given out to the winners, and some coaches, head coaches, are going to be making appearances at these as well.
I think that is a fantastic idea. I'm really hoping to be able to attend to one of them, because I think that's just a great idea. Ways to reach out across the state, because it's not just in the Huntington area, right?
That's right.
Charleston, Parkersburg, Hurricane. So you've got multiple chances, multiple opportunities where you live to actually participate, get to meet some of the coaches, have a good time. No, I think this is great. I think that, anything that we can do to outreach into these different communities and draw them into martial sports programs, increase football attendance, increase basketball attendance, and get people engaged. This is great. I think it's a great idea.
It's in addition to the coaches caravan, which they do every year, and that always, they go to the different hot spots where there's a good Big Green chapter. They go up to Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati. They go into the coal fields, MGM, I think it is, Mason Gallia. I can't think of the other M there, but It's always cool to see them do other events like this. Before they did Herd Happy Hour. I don't know if you remember that, but one of them was over at Heritage Station, and it was coinciding with part of the launch of Herd Country Lager. They had um the Lexington Country Boy Brewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Country Boy was there, and they had their Country Boy trailer that had some taps on it and everything. They just had Herd Happy Hour, and they did it in a couple of different locations. This kind of feels like that, but you add in the trivia and the more personalization of the martial athletics. I just think it's really, really cool. But again, July 14th, 21st, 28th, and 4th, 4 weeks in a row. You want to be at Creekside, Fireside Grill, the Shriners Building, and 5th Street Brewing. You can find all this over on Herd Zone. You can find it on social media to remind you. But bookmark those dates if you're in those areas and want to go to them. We got another event for number 2, and the quarterback club always has a very big event. It's always right before football season. It's the reverse raffle, and this is going to be August the 16th at Marshall Health Arena. And every year they have like a different host. Well, this year it is Vinny Curry.
Very hey, big events coming up. I feel like Vinny Curry's done some pretty cool things, during his career. I'm not exactly sure if if you've known that or not, but no, I think that's fantastic. I assume you can tell us where we can find tickets and get more information.
You'll want to go to Herd Zone to get all the info. There's going to be a lot more info released. The date has been set for a long time. I purposely have not been talking about this and the other events. There's one coming up in Charleston, and all these different things. I wanted to wait till it got a little bit closer, but this week the graphic came out and was shared by one of the coaches that Vinny Curry was there. So just be on the radar. You're going to get a lot more about how much ticket costs, how you can get them, and that sort of thing. This benefits the quarterback club, which benefits the football team. They do an absolute amazing job. Mark George has been the president and the driver behind that quarterback club for a long time. And Jed, they put on that event the last several years that we've been going to, the Herd Brothers reunion the night before it's really the entire weekend, but big event the night before the spring game. And that's all Mark George and the quarterback club. So I do know, and they've been doing this for a long time, there's a lot of different drawings and prizes that can be won, a lot of customized memorabilia and things like that. But the grand prize is $5,000. So it's worth your while to go have a good time with a chance to come back with a lot more than you put in.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you don't win, it's still a great time. Great cause. Obviously, in this, football is real big, especially this year with coaching changes and the changes with the expansion of the teams and everything. There's we want as much commitment from the community and former graduates and things like that. So anytime that these events come up, try to make plans to be there and participate, and these are always good times too, so it doesn't hurt either.
Number 3, cross country has released its schedule, and this is always like one of the shorter schedules that you're going to see. They have 4 events before it gets to the Sun Belt Conference Championships. So we're going to start off on August 29th with the Thundering Herd Invitational right here in Huntington. And then on September the 12th, got the Southern Showcase at Jacksonville State. October the 4th, the Greater Louisville Classic. Of course, it's in Louisville. And then October 17th, the Falcon Invite in Bowling Green. And then October 31st, Halloween, Foley, Alabama, where they have always held these track and field events and everything for the Sun Belt. You got the cross country championships there. If any of ours make it, The NCAA Mid-Atlantic Regional in Lehigh, Pennsylvania will be November the 14th. So not a lot of dates, but that's just the way it is, par for the course for cross country.
Right. Well, it's that time of year, right? We're about to be into July. The start of school is 6 weeks away, if that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, all this stuff's going to start coming together pretty quick for those programs that we haven't seen schedules for yet. So, par for the course, looks ready for another season.
Yeah. And you just brought up, you told me it's almost July, and that just jogged my memory. July 1 is when we change seasons here because it coincides with the Sunbelt Conference and really all athletic conferences, but it coincides with the start of their season. So early in on the ThunderCast, we had, I can't remember if it was 15, I think it was 15 episodes that we got in. We started on April the 1st, and our last one was June whatever, and then we started over fresh for season 2. So we're getting ready to start season 5. This will be the last episode for you and I, and then the episode that KD and I have coming out again Friday morning on position group breakdowns, that will be the final episode of season 4. So just jogged my memory. Thought I'd bring it up while I was there because I didn't say it at the front of the show.
Well, that's pretty cool. I just going to take 2 seconds to say that it's crazy to think that we're already on season 5.
Yeah,
I mean, time's fly. I mean, a lot has gone down since that cool, awesome date that in April that year.
Yeah, think of how many different things we've had, at least 5. And, there's been a rare occasion that we had a week where we didn't record. Like earlier this year, I was gone on vacation and you guys couldn't get together because, I mean, everybody was busy with work and everything. And there's only been a few of those. And we have more shows per week than one a week. And, we have been averaging a lot here in 2025. This is not even counting some of the special things like KD just did with Topper Talk, on possible realignment, not even counting things like that. And some other specials here and there, YouTube exclusives. This is episode 70, and the one dropping tomorrow will be 71. So that's 71 episodes here in this year. And then by, these next 6 months, we are going to have a lot of weeks where we have 2 and then 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, a couple of them. If we can do some of the things that we want to do, we're looking at possibly 4 episodes. Yeah. And it's going to be big, man. Season 5 is going to start with a bang, I will say.
Yeah, for those of you really looking for some ThunderCast content, you're gonna get plenty of it.
And it's, now that we've been able to split them up and stuff like that, they're shorter, right? We don't need you to tune in for a 4-hour movie. You and I can do our thing, and KD and I do ours, and, just helps out everybody. Number 4, speaking of that track program, Marshall picks up transfer Gabriel Oraka, the 2025 shot put champion for the MEAC conference. So he comes to us from NC Central, and I looked it up, and I think it was like 16.71 meters was his winning throw, and that would place him in the top 5 all time here at Marshall, if I'm not mistaken. I tried to look up exactly, and let me see if I can find that again real quick while we're talking about bringing him in. But we had a guy, John Purvis, and here's what he did. Oh, yeah. He broke the school record, and this was last year, May of last year. He broke the school record that was set all the way back in 1980. So it was 20.88 meters that he did. So 16 is below that, but I think when Purvis, what I had seen, what I found, he had done a 16 something and got him in the top 5. And I think it was below what this guy was. So it may be right out of the top 5 now that Purvis has thrown more than that. He would have pushed himself out. But, anyway, he's up there around the top 5 all time at Marshall if he can duplicate what he did there last year. So, pretty big get, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially you got another year of training, learning, you're working with coaches.
That's right.
Better your form, get stronger. So, I mean, hey, you're already pushing that top 5. I think you've got, you've closing that gap on that. You could probably get it another couple meters. It's,
Yeah, because one of the things I was looking at, Purvis, again, throwing that, I think it was 16.29 meters, and that was a throw that got him into the top 5. So before he came and, he was smashing that by going to 20.88, but before he got to that level, 16.29 was his best, and it got him into the top 5. And you're kind of looking at it the same way. If this guy can improve, or Raka, like Purvis did, how great would that be to come here and some of your first throws are in the top 5, and then you've got your eyes set on, well, let's improve like this guy did.
Do you know, like, was that across a season or a couple seasons, or was that across the same year?
No, it was. I think it was across multiple seasons. Like, showed improvement over maybe two years or something to do that. I can look it all up. I don't have it in front of me. But when he came over, I wanted to see kind of where that would place, and I saw that Purvis thing because I'd remembered that name, and we had talked about it here on the show, and it was over on Twitter on the track account. It said he went into the top 5, and the throw was 16.29, and I'm like, daggone, we got a guy that we just brought in that's above that. And I just looked, and I'd forgotten that he had improved by that much when he broke the record. I mean, but that was a 25% improvement.
So that's a wild, you're 4 meters.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It is. All right. So let's see where we're at on number 5 here. Oh, there's going to be a word that I'm sure you'll bring up, but we're going to talk about some classroom accolades here. And we always talk about the CSC Academic All-District awards and everything. So we've got some different ones of those here. Men's golf has 4 named to the CSC Academic All-District team. That's Joseph Kolaski, Cameron Jarvis, J.F. Aber, and Andrew Weiss. Women's golf had 4 of their own: Emily McClatchy, Abby Bull, Olivia Cochan, and Madison Borders. Meanwhile, track and field, who we've just talked about here, had 3 on the list: Laura Check, Kylie Maston, and Addison Painter. And if you're thinking to yourself, have I heard those 3 names a lot? Yeah. Painter and Check, we just talked about going to the NCAA prelims. Kylie Maston has broken just about every record that she could here. You have to have on these things, it's not just about grades. You have to perform at a high level. And that's why, these ones that we talk about on here constantly, they are doing it in the classroom and on their fields or their courses or whatever. Just ridiculously proud that Marshall athletes are putting up such high classroom numbers, because whether we like it or not, we think about our athletes only as athletes most of the time, but they're here not for athletics. They're here to get a degree and to improve their knowledge, and then they just happen to play sports. And we kind of, with the age of NIL and the transfer portal, and it's kind of like we've lost track of that, but ultimately that's the reason that kids are theoretically coming to school.
Right. And that, of course, to get, to use the word that Katie uses, which I don't know if he's used it for quite a while. So I'm going to have to go back to a previous episode of a 5 things where he's used this word, and I want to clip it so I can play it like we do the commercials.
Yeah. Need one of those buttons that you just push, like a producer just pushes it.
Yeah.
And Jed, I'm going to push the button. What does it say? It
says differentiator.
There you go.
And then, to your point, man, that's like, it's just a high bar, man. Because like you think of professional athletes, and yeah, they work hard and they practice day in, day out. But you've got student athletes that are practicing day in, day out, but also taking tests and quizzes and doing, group work and projects and all those things on top of, the sport that they're participating in, and all those, getting up early and, going to
That's right.
practices and workouts and all those things on top of it. So to be able to achieve that, you're just operating on a different level that I personally can't understand. But
Think
you're
of the
just,
road trips,
yeah,
and you've got to leave if you've got a weeknight game. Think of the road trips for I'll just say men's and women's basketball. They routinely have like a Wednesday or a Thursday that they're playing on the road, and then they are playing against like a Wednesday, Friday, Thursday, Saturday, or a Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Saturday, both of them on Thursday, Saturday, whatever. Um, just think of you having to be there. You're going to have to. You don't just leave after classes on Thursday. You got to be down there at least by Wednesday. So you're on the road Wednesday, and then you're down there Thursday, and you're getting a practice in, a walkthrough, and everything. You have the game that night. You're traveling to somewhere else on Friday. Then you do your walkthrough on Saturday, your game on Saturday. You travel home either late that night or travel on Sunday. And then you've missed Wednesday through Sunday. So basically you had Monday and Tuesday, and then you've got to get back and do all your athletic stuff for the game that's going to be at home. If you're not back on the road, you've got a game again on Wednesday. And it's just insane during the season what you have to do. And then in the off season, you're always practicing and training and doing all that. Oh, and by the way, maybe have a life,
right.
that you try to do that as well. So it's always great. We always want to push that to people here while we talk about things on the Thundercast. We always want to talk about the academic achievements as well. And KD coined that phrase. It really is a differentiator because the parents that are bringing their athletes here, they want to see that you can come here and you can be an athlete and still get really good grades and a degree here. They want to see as an athlete that they can come here and, hey, there are programs in place that will help me do this. And the university supports us, because we're constantly on the road, that we get to make up time and do this. And, I want to go to a university that does that and doesn't just say, give them a C and pass them, they're bringing in, some of these teams are bringing in like a 3.96 semester after semester, some of them 4.0s. So it's just really good to see, and we're always going to celebrate that here on the Thundercast.
Absolutely.
Number 6, got some baseball news. We just got a transfer. I think it was official earlier today. The pitcher announced it, but right-hand pitcher starter Alex Cottle. He was second team in the GMAC last year for Lake Erie College. Looked at some of his stats. I don't have them memorized, but I think he led the entire conference. A 165 batting average against. And yeah, it was at Lake Erie College, and it wasn't like from the MAC, it was from the GMAC. But I don't care where it was. We always say this sort of thing on here: pitchers pitch, hitters hit, speed plays. We say all that stuff. You're bringing in a guy that has a really good history of batting average against. You don't get that by being lucky all season long. You
Right.
get that by getting strikeouts or inducing ground balls and that sort of thing, to where you're a good pitcher. And we already have a pretty good rotation here, so adding this guy, I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. If you're the starter just about anywhere, there's at least a little bit of talent there.
Yeah.
If you're the guy that's making the cut there. So no, I think it's a good pickup. It'd be interesting to see how he works into that lineup and how he does here. Really excited for what baseball's going to continue to do come next spring. I hate that we have to wait till next spring, but excited for this next season of baseball.
Yeah. Jed, our seventh and final thing this week is football, and they picked up 3 commits from the 2026 class. We've been talking about it week after week of the class that they've brought in, and they added to it. We've got long snapper Riley Winkler, 6'4", 190 out of Detroit, Michigan. Defensive back also listed as athlete Zeke Gunn, 6'1", 200 pounds out of Orlando, Florida. And offensive lineman William Sandfoss, 6'5", 280 out of Newport, Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati. That makes about, I think we're up around 11 to 12 that we have brought in on this class. I think it's at least 10. I'm comfortable saying 10, but I think that we have broken over above 10 that we've already got in commits for this class. And it seems like that's a little bit different than what we've been doing the last few years. I don't know what your thoughts are, but we've been so heavy in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
It seems kind of almost refreshing to see us bringing in this early 10 to 12 high school commits. And I don't know, am I thinking about that wrong? Do you?
I would agree. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but my gut, just listening, having been, a longtime listener of the Thundercast and now, looking over these notes when we prepare for an episode, I feel like I've seen more. To me, my gut reaction is there's been more of high school recruits this go around than there's been in the previous years. And I don't think it's because there's been so much focus on the transfers. I know there's always a big, what are we getting out of the portal? But I feel it's a gut thing. I just feel like there's been more.
I do too. And I feel like, it's not the number, it's the number at this time of year is where I'm thinking. And, we're not in July yet. We haven't started fall camp. And it seems every weekend we're bringing in anywhere from 3 to 5 commitments, and that just seems pretty cool to me. I'm hoping that this is a balanced thing that we're going to have, and that Gibby's going to bring some kids here that will have a decent chance to have several play here all 4 years and never transfer out. It would be refreshing in this day and age, and a lot of fans agree that it's harder to keep kids here for 4 years. Well, it's even harder when you have a high school class of only 8. It takes your chances down of how many you're going to have stick around. And I think we had 14 or 15 in last year's class or whatever, but then coach leaves and we lost 2 of those. And then I think a couple others may have went elsewhere after the spring, but still a lot of time between now and signing day. My point is, it just seems like it's a lot this early.
Yeah, and I would agree. But it's important that we, continue to recruit high schooler. They got to go somewhere when they graduate. Yeah. And I know there's always been a big focus on the transfer portal and try to get plug and play players. And that's, of course, important and need to be done. But, it's out of the high school ranks. You never know, what kind of diamond in the rough that you can get that with the right coach and the right development turns into a killer player who's, with us, their entire collegiate career, or even for a few years, before getting snagged up or trying to look for greener pastures. But, that's, you can find it in those high school ranks just as easy as you can in the transfer portal.
That's right. Jed, that was a quick and easy show because all we had was the 5 things. We had 7 this week, thanks to ignite.link as always. But that's all I have. Do you have anything else before we get out of here?
No, the only thing I have is like, subscribe, please share. There's always people that I hear of that have not watched the show, listen to the show, that is looking for content like this. So please like, subscribe, share, especially that we're, Russ and Katie are doing the position group breakdown episodes. Those are always super popular. So make sure to get the word out and, do that little part. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Cam or whether you see us at the Dot, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go Herd. It's the Thundercast, and we'll see you tomorrow or whenever you are watching our next position group breakdown.
Go Herd.